What up, my freaks? RuinousInsight here with part 15 of my Total War Warhammer 3 modded Gorbad Ironclaw Old World campaign. So as we saw last time, though we were very close to it, 4 turns remaining, we were able to capture Verezzo, which was our WAAAGH condition, trophy condition, and it looks like we'll be good. On top of that, this portion of the Southern Realms at least is pretty much done for, and well, that's the main one we cared about. We are very much underway in terms of preparations for the invasion of the Empire itself, and hopefully destruction thereof, for the purposes of getting our long victory condition. In terms of what we got to do this time around, we probably have a fair few moves. Yeah, okay, about a halfway through a new turn. Alright, Gorbad, I believe, is besieging the Khorne, so we could just leave him there. No plans on him, but I'd rather not waste him, especially since he's going to be moving north very shortly, and he'll just have to deal with it. What do we have out here? Silvio Baldo. I don't like how many Empire Knights you have, but... I mean, I guess we could send Blorgrader. That's just going to get him further and further away from the giant river troll hag. Although I guess if we send Azdrag one finger, assuming that we can actually pull off the fight, then that would kind of deal with it for us. And allow you to heal up and get your... Yeah, you know, it's probably a better way to do it. Alright, so here's what we'll do. You will go to Tehran, you'll sack it real quick with an auto-resolve, and... Oh, that's going to damage it. You know what, then it's... I mean, you'll heal. Here's the problem. He'll lose his River Troll Hag. I guess this one's going to replace the one he has, but he wouldn't be able to heal. Alright, fine. Then we'll send Azdrag to deal with this particular army. We'll see if he can manage to pull it off. Does he have rank 12s? He does not. Alright, so that's without the buffs, which is a lot more concerning. We're gonna have to send Blorg after you after all, aren't we? Alright, fine. Alright, here's how we'll do this then. In Glugzag, you are going to go to Porta Major. And obviously Spite Backbiter will back you up. And actually there isn't a lot here, even without Spite backing you up. Wait a moment, maybe this is the better way to do it. We can send Spite with his WAAAGH, such as it is, to back up into March now, or a regular stance, I guess. Wait, how far can Blorg move? Not that far. Azdrag can move further. Alright, let's try this. You will move this way. Azdrag, you're going to attack Silvio Baldo, which might allow Blorg to reclaim his River Troll Hag without too much distance. Will you fight? You will fight. Beautiful. Alright, I think we'll be fine. We have to just wait until the WAAAGH arrives and just send it at the enemy and then overrun them with squigs. Go. Alrighty, here we go. Now, you gotta remember that Azdrag One Finger has that trait that allows you to Vanguard deploy trolls. We're gonna make use of it here, and we're going to Vanguard deploy 3 units of trolls, plus our 2 Night Goblin big bosses behind the enemy line, getting ready to charge on. And of course, as we've seen the last episode and previously, trolls have atrocious leadership. 46 is really, really low. I mean, this is a basic unit of swordsmen, 95 leadership. Granted, that's what the AI's sort of cheaty buffs, but nonetheless, the disparity is pretty big. But hopefully, with them attacking the enemy in the rear, they won't be as likely to melt away and, well, run away rather. I guess we'll see. They are uncomfortably close to the edge of the map here. Anyway, I'm going to just speed this up a little bit while we wait for our reinforcements, such as they are, the WAAAGH, to arrive on the field. Got to have somebody blocking all those shots, especially from the grenade launchers and the Hawkland long rifles here. And, ooh, I don't like how the enemy's milling around, making me nervous, but they won't find the trolls. Vanguard deployed in stock on trolls is really nasty. Once we transform these guys into maybe river trolls in this army, since we have stone trolls in our Gore Throat Crunch's army. Combine that with... Oh, well, then again, I wanted to use river trolls with the with the stinky errors concept with some error boys, or probably tactical boys. But anyway, I will consider it. For now, I'm going to start the battle out by annoying the enemy a little bit with that bolt thrower. As we know, it's not really going to do much, if anything, in terms of damage. But well, the purpose isn't to do damage so much as to A, annoy the enemy, and B, do something while we wait for our WAAAGH line to essentially get into position. And the AI is shadowing us. If you're wondering why they're suddenly blobbing up in the center like this, the AI likes to sort of mimic what the player does and sort of react to your positioning on the map. If you're feeling really mean, you can actually force it to blob up like this and whenever you want, essentially, and then just attack it. Yeah. And by the time we get to it, fortunately, our main line is slow, and it should at least reposition itself. We are not going to wait on its range units, its pistoliers, its outriders, and whatever, but we will begin chasing them down with our cav. Specifically, we've got the boar boys from the WAAAGH, which we're going to put to good use, and hopefully they can tank a few hits, a few more hits, I should say, than our squig cav. The WAAAGH is getting ready to move while the rest of our army is still waiting a little bit. The squig hoppers are beginning to chase the enemy down. Of course, they're not quite fast enough to catch all the pistoliers. Fortunately, we have a few, we have a few more of them. And then the enemy does, and soon they will have nowhere to run. They are being corralled here. And, funnily enough, regardless of how the enemy would have responded, with us surrounding them from every side, there isn't much they can do because this is all range units. And the range units would try to get away, and thus would be forced to be corralled into a blob anyway. And here we go. The trolls are in, the squigs are coming. And those range units have absolutely nowhere to run. They are just going to have to fight in melee. And frankly, it looks like the cav are kind of in the same position. Some of them have been forced into the middle of the enemy line. The units are being pressed essentially from every direction here, and even more squigs are on the way. The knights here are being surrounded in between the gobos and now the squig herd and the squig hoppers. Even the heavily armored knights should be destroyed fairly quickly. Of course, the pistoliers and outriders much more quickly, as they're fragile and are not good at melee. They're overrun and destroyed. The bounce power has rapidly shifted to about 70% in our favor and continues to shift. The enemy lord has moved away from the havoc that is his army now, and is trying to, I think, find our lord and maybe kill him off, which I guess is a pretty smart move, as I don't think his army is going to be able to achieve anything. Greenskins absolutely should have numbers, and they certainly do here. Another WAAAGH activation just as the knights died. Looks like the enemy lord has actually been defeated, surrounded first by a pile of orc error boys. Can't underestimate error boys in melee. While they will take damage, they will also deal damage because they have high melee attack. And with them helping out, the knight goblin big boss was able to assassinate the enemy. And there we go, just a few more enemies to cut down, and it looks like the army will shatter, and the battle will be ours. When you've got numbers and you can surround an enemy army from every single side, pretty much every single army would have a really bad time of this. The dwarfs might have been able to hold a little bit longer, but they're fairly vulnerable to speed for the same reason, so probably not even dwarfs. Lovely. Well done to, to everybody, but especially the little squiggies. Alrighty, very nice indeed. You might have thought I would have gotten bored of the squig spam by now, but no, nowhere near it. They're just so entertaining. Anyway, as usual, we'll be taking the slaughter captives while the Confederation debuff is up, so slaughter those captives. Got a nice 11k out of the battle itself as well, which ain't too bad. I'd love to raid, but I believe WAAAGH will be able to take this. I forget, you were able to auto-resolve this? I don't particularly like the medium casualties, but I don't think anybody else is nearby enough to threaten us here anyway. Alright, wait. Blorg, we do want you to move, however, to reinforce Muncha Edbutt for the purpose, for the dual purpose of A, you Auto-resolving and close victory. Doesn't look like anybody will die. How is this even anywhere like a close victory? Well, whatever. Gleaming Pennant and then sack. Then Blorg, you will be the one to occupy it. I like so. Don't care about the Gleaming Pennant. Swindler, Obsidian Amulet, Shroom Gatherer, and then I would like you to move your hag back into Blorg's army, which will make you not heal nearly as much. You are going to go into March Stance, and we'll get this hag into your army instead. There we go. I think that's roughly... Oh, wow. These guys are still not healing enough, even after that. Huh, go figure. Anyway, repair this, and, well, we'll just try to get to retinue physician. And just gotta get a couple more points. I mean, they are healing, and oh, right, we gotta get the scrap upgrades for these guys. Though, admittedly, I'm not entirely sure whether we'll continue having this many biggins in this particular army, but they will definitely want scrap armor. The additional armor and the missile block chances very much needed. The other stuff is, I'm sure, decent, but it's not anything like how good this is, though this is costly, but that's alright. Now, the chariots, I wonder if they have the same kind of upgrades as... Yeah, the same kind as the pump wagons, at least with regards to the weighted carriages, and the speed and the mass and the charge bonus is definitely something we want on them, and it's their cheapest upgrade, so we'll get it. Alright, good enough, at least for now, assuming that we don't delete any of the biggins to make space for something else, maybe a couple giants, I don't know, I'll think about it. We'll see how it performs first. You, Muncha, are just waiting for the hag, which immediately let's get you replenish troops and spirit leech and life leeching, and I guess the slimy will follow the fishy. You can also have replenish troops. You have great crappa. Actually, I forgot what the other one has. You can max out spirit leech, and you also have great crappa. Alright, so you guys are going to goblins. And you at least have the Orc Shaman to actually cast to do damage if he should need it. Alrighty, that looks good to me. Azdrag, you guys will not be able to reinforce here. I would have loved to have the Giants and the Doomdiver Catapults join, but alas, I don't think we can right now. Alright, fine, just, well, just do this. And I assume nobody's going to be nearby to attack us. Anyway, I think you could just auto-resolve it. You should, in theory, be fine, and if you're not, well, that's your problem. Hurt the gobos, and the pump wagons are fine. You know what? That's pretty much as I expected it to have gone. Sack it still, and then recapture it. Make killed in battle, and occupy. Alrighty, oh, yeah, you guys don't have the stick 'em like pigs thing, which is why you're... Okay, so this one we took a tier 3, despite the fact that we sacked it. But other ones went down a tier. But why? Oh well, I have no idea. You will go into pile of shiny stuff and then into Raiden stashes, and then we will obviously go into Camp Ruckus. Alright, lovely. I believe Aranessa's still floating around, and well, we'll deal with her when the situation comes up. Not going to bother investing in these places yet because Aranessa could go for Capelli and ignore Al Dente, in theory. If we had a little bit less vampiric corruption, I would have tried to ambush with Argor and oh wait, we wouldn't have been able to anyway, so he's fine. He's fine. Grotslick, nope, don't need to check you. I know who you are, you're not doing anything right now. You guys. Alright, Skarsnik and Bartorg. Bartorg, you're pushing up northward to Karazakarak. Skarsnik, I would like you to go into ambush stance and push towards Mr. Durak Rendmane. And Ublug, you, I guess, are going to move to declare war upon Clan Mordkin. It is what it is. Can't have them be holding this territory now. Are they at war with anybody of significance? Do they have an army of significance? Not really. Oh, they're allied with Grutnik. Oh, Grutnik's not going to like this. They're already not liking the trespasses. Do you have... You don't have a non-aggression or a military access. You just appear to have a trade agreement with them, eh? Huh? Is it me, or should you have a break trade agreement as an option? Am I crazy, or did that not used to be a diplomatic option? Break non-aggression, break military access. Huh. Is it that because orcs can't trade, we can't get others to break their trade agreements? Huh. That's kind of interesting. I mean, maybe orcs wouldn't even think of it. Well, either way. You guys are... Oh, wait, you're level 12, and... Okay, you got the biggest teeth, so you're fine, and then the other guy's waiting on his levels, which is also fine. You can get replenished troops, and obviously spirit leeching, and... I guess at least 1 point in Soul Blight, the way you will once again want to get Retinue Physician. You can hold on to your points, and you can do the same. WAAAGH. Declare war. Don't call your allies. I can't have these guys here. Pyrrhic Victory will kill off a bunch of our doggos. They have no warp bombs or anything like that, so I don't see why that would be the case. Although I suppose the rattling guns could be something of an issue. We should still be able to overwhelm them with sheer numbers. Go. Alright, here we go. By and large, we've had spiders dealing with the rats. Let's see how the wolves handle them. And gonna be fairly interesting. Now, I guess we could put the goblin big bosses in WAAAGH's army on wolves as well to maintain the illusion, as it were. The only thing there is it's a loss of lethal poison, which otherwise this army does not have any source of, which would be unfortunate. It is a nice contact effect. -1 of you, I think one of you has lethal toxin instead. Yeah, one of you has lethal or toxic venom rather out of poison, and combining together, that's a double buff. If anybody has healing, for example, it's a -30% incoming healing modifier, and the debuffs, and where we can get a combination with the regular poisons. But anyway, I digress. Looks like the enemy is marching towards us. We're going to start, at least to some degree, annoying the enemy rattling guns here with our goblin bolt throwers. They've been firing at them for a while now and have managed to get 0 kills and done 0 damage. Alright, well, that's yep. That's what you expect from him. Anyway, on the flanks, we're going to start off with our wolf cavalry charges. These are the melee wolf cav. The regular Goblin Wolf Riders, and they're going to ride through the enemy Skaven Slave Slinger. Actually, these are all Knight and or Gutter Runners. Going to ride through them and then try to get away before the Warp Grinders close the distance. Certainly don't want them doing this. We don't really care about them activating their Warp Quake on the WAAAGH units, however. They're free to die while we take care of all of the enemy fragile range units. Over on the left flank, we've got the Wolf Rider Archers working together with the Wolf Chariots, who are running down the other Night Runners left. And soon we will be converging on the enemy melee. It looks like we have managed to reach at least the rattling guns here with the Knights of Gobtown. Since the bolt throwers weren't going to knock even those fragile units out, it's just faster to have the tier 1 Wolf Riders deal with them, and I think they're now heavily damaged and will not be able to achieve too much. We're dropping Spirit Leeches on the enemy lord. The River Troll Hag makes her way into the front line just to debuff the enemy while we continue causing havoc on the enemy's flanks and in their back line. Our pump wagons, the regular ones and the spiky we don't have spiky rollers in this army, that's the other army. All the regular pump wagons have made their way into the enemy army. And they should rip apart to those Warp Grinders fairly quickly. Though Warp Grinders are fragile, they can actually do a lot of damage. I've had a few situations where they managed to surround a Lord, and before the Lord killed them, they did massive damage to them. Especially against, like, Lords without any mass, like a small infantry Lord. Because they have high armor-piercing damage, they can do pretty well there. It's kind of interesting. I wonder what other things you can sneakily kill with the Warp Grinders instead of using, like, with their actual, Warp Grinders, with their attacks rather than their Warp Quake. Well, certainly something to consider next time we play Skaven. Anyway, bolt throwers continue to smash into the enemy, just for fun. And we continue to overrun them with wolves. It looks like the bounce power has shifted finally fully to our favor. And the battle, once again, is ours. Skaven don't want to play outnumbered, but I guess Greenskins are one of the factions that can match the rats body for body. So, that worked out well for us. Lovely. Alright, there we go, nice little fight. The WAAAGH units served their purpose and kept the Goblin Wolf Rider units reasonably safe. Lovely. And, right, this is a settlement battle, but this was, yeah, there's no point in sacking this, so I guess we'll just straight up occupy it. Fair enough. Fair enough. Alright, and you can keep the Cave of Shinies. We will not, however, collect the income. Scroll of Shielding, and there we go. Alright, the Kazad dwarfs are very much on their way out. I'm not sure that we really care about any of the other dwarfs, and hopefully some of our other orky friends will take care of them while we're busy elsewhere. I also fear that Mr. Grimgor does not like us attacking Mordkin. You wanna betray Mordkin? 2.4. Yeah, sure. Wait. Whoa. What about military access? No. Okay, fine. Do that. There you go. There we go. Now they're not friends anymore, and Grimgor doesn't care about it. Granted, it might be easier to just go on and whack Grimgor, but I'm not sure that we'll ever find him, because, yeah, I don't want to spend 8 years chasing him around, so I think we're okay. Anyway, I believe, was that everything that we needed to do this turn, and are we ready to end the turn? Anybody else need to move? Gorfang, Rotgut is... Alright, this guy. I would like to see what's going on over here. Do these guys have a full stack? They do have a full stack. It is... I wonder if it's full of... You know what? Go here and raid. At least that way you give us something. There are defenses here, and unfortunately you can't take that without maybe drawing these guys out. I mean, if they declare war on us, sit right there, who knows? And give them a chance, I guess. Otherwise, I believe that was the last guy who had to... No, I lied. We still have to move Zok, who... Well, since we just declared war on Mordkin, I guess is going to want to go right here. And then after Zok, Arachnic Spiderclaw. You're moving here and you're going to travel together with Grom Gobscream until you're ready for Arachnarok time. Alrighty, and skip, and now we're ready to end the turn. As soon as he stops moving, go. Alright, very nice. As expected, the Khornates will indeed attack us here. Ooh, they got a couple of Gorby's chariots. Oh, I wanted to ally with these guys specifically to get these. They're just teasing us now. Oh well, let's see if we can melt them with our tactical boys. Go. Alrighty, here we go. Now, last time we fought on this exact same map against Cardinal Stair himself, and we deployed here in the choke point to, well, take advantage of the choke point against the Khornates who want to close the distance in melee. Without Cardinal Stair here, I think we are free to not bother with that and do a little bit of melee action against them. It's been a while since the various units of tactical boys were forced to fight in melee at all, and if we sort of make a regular battle line, we're certainly going to be forced to. Anyway, we're going to start the battle off with two bloody, count them, two of the units of enemy... I was about to say hell cannons, skull cannons firing away at us, and as we move towards them, they're going to back off. Wow, this is the least Khornate thing I've ever seen. Are you really? You're going to artillery bombard us, and as we move towards you, you're going to back off. All right, fair enough. I mean, I guess we used regularly un-orky tactics last time we faced off against Cardinal Stair. Only fair that we get a little bit of a taste of our own medicine here. Alright, well, in that light, we're going to move 3 of our units of the tactical boys forward. These are the 3 that don't have entrench because they're not at high enough levels. So they move forward to attack the enemy, while the others, the ones that are high enough rank, the rank 7s, will sit here and entrench and thus get their increased range. They quickly obliterate the first of the enemy units of spawn, and we start hitting in our first units, the Biggins and the Boar Boys. We don't really care. We don't really care what happens to the Biggins, really, because they're not supposed to be in this army. They're just kind of placeholders until we can get those feral wyverns and whatever else we may want to throw into this army. But they'll work out nicely to provide us at least a little bit of melee bonuses, because the boar boys are busy with other stuff. Those darn flame cannons continue to fire away at us, and the Khornates begin to charge. Gorbad will move where the concentration of enemies is thickest and try to hold them off, activating buffs on his own units, as well as specifying specifically, rock, paper, scissorsing, I guess. A defensive buff on the unit that's most likely to take damage, attack on the ones that is most likely to deal damage, that it's like flanking them, etc, etc, etc. Gorbad tactical things. It's what he do. Anyway, facing off against the enemy Skull Crushers and lots of Forsaken Gorbeast chariots, exalted bloodletters, etc, etc, and this more or less front line, though it does look like one of the bloodletters in combination with the with those darn skull cannons has forced one of our units of tactical boys, the green seals, to back off. We're going to essentially separate these guys a little bit, and just so that the ones that get charged and fight in melee can hold the enemy back in melee, while the rest can continue to fire with those crossbows. I mean, they've been hefting around those crossbows this entire time. They should damn well be able to use them. Now, obviously, a horrible matchup. Tactical boys may be a hybrid unit, but they're not going to do super well in melee against minotaurs, like regular orc error boys or savage orc error boys. They have decent melee attack, but their melee defense is atrocious, so they're going to take damage no matter what. It does look like our back line is, if not quite on the verge of being overrun, is certainly engaged. Gorbad, however, has defeated in the meantime the enemy boss. We are still dropping the occasional spell, a big old brain burst down on the enemy exalted bloodletters, trying to focus the bloodletters down with the spell work rather than things like Forsaken, due to their heavy armor and due to the fact that we have a lot of physical resistance on the bloodletters here. Turning into a pretty darn fun battle. And we don't really care about the damage to us, because we'll be able to heal. So yeah, anyway, Gorbeast chariots are out. And it bothers me because I wanted these amongst our own units, but whatever. And their coordinate color scheme would have worked well with ours too. And I feel like the Greenskins could, out of all the factions, really appreciate some Gorbeast chariots, or just Gorbeasts in general. I still think that the devs should actually add like Gorbeast packs, rather like Gorbeasts, without the chariots. Just use the same animation that they have in the chariots without the chariots on them. They don't use regular chariot animations for attack. They do Gorbeast stuff. Anyway, that's a rant I've gone on before. What do we have? Bounce power is at about, let's say, 60% in our favor. The battle is still ongoing. Ooh, looks like one of our units of Orkbiggins will get charged by a Blood Beasts unit together with those exalted bloodletters, and we'll book it on out of there. We're severely damaged now, though Gorbad himself is fine, and at least a couple of the boar boys are in decent shape. Still, turning to a much more desperate fight. Actually, keeping it with only cav and very little, if barely any, infantry does keep these battles particularly interesting. Certainly an army composition that I might bring back in future campaigns and for a different faction. Especially decent with sort of hybrid melee range units, like, I don't know, things like Shades and such. Certainly something to think about, but anyway, I digress. That's for future campaign. This one is, as in this battle, is nearly done, and though we took severe damage, the last of the enemy units are melting away. Gorbad did well holding the line, or commanding his units as the tip of the spear, and our back line was just able to hold against the onslaught of the Khornates, considering that they got charged by, I don't know, 3 or 4 units of Minotaurs, while Gorbad was present elsewhere, and blood beasts here and there as well. Pretty darn impressive. Alright, making sure that as few of the Minotaurs escape as possible. That one's done for. Gorbad's gonna chase down another. Beautiful. And then I believe we got boar boys going after a 3rd or 4th. And at the very least, a very few of those. A little poke with the the spear. I don't know, but it feels like the stabs are kind of like just like they're almost like prodding, like yeah. Anyway, what was I saying? I don't know what I was saying. I got distracted because I was amused. So the battle's over. Gorbad has won, and Carnal Stairs faction is pretty much done. Alrighty, there we go. Very nice. It was certainly a harder battle than we had fought when we had fought Carnal Stairs main stack, but that's hardly surprising. We had neither plans, nor did we use the choke point on that particular map, and admittedly, it kept the battle pretty darn interesting. A lot of our tactical boys, etc., pretty badly damaged, but they also did plenty of damage as well. Plus, it's always nice to see these guys fight in melee, at least a little bit. They may be Daka enthusiasts, but they are they're certainly capable in melee as well. And with 36,000 damage, nearly 37, the Hog Riders rode down the enemy on their hogs more than any of the other boar boys. Well done. Anyway, I was about to say maybe we should heal up, but honestly, this is so little heal that it probably doesn't matter. We'll slaughter the captives anyway, because, well, we've got this is the last territory that's here, so Gorbad's going to be traveling through our own territory for the next few turns and healing, so. Alright, there we go. Freebooter for you, Dauntless, Master Mason, Creator, Master Mason, Wild Hunt ceases, not that we care. Carcass Sun, a regional power, it's kind of interesting. And we killed in battle all over the place, and let's finish up with the Khornates here. So, Tier 4... Or wait, it's Tier 5. I want to see if it's kept at Tier 5 or whether it gets deleted. Trespass warning ignored, tactic removed from Rada, whatever. Auto-resolve this. And then sack it for a nice 34k. And then... Occupy. This place gets occupied at Tier 3. But why? No, I have absolutely no idea how this works. I'm gonna have to reread the comments, see if anybody did explain it to me, or maybe I'll just, look it up and give it a read, because sometimes it's kept at Tier 5. This time it went from Tier 5 to Tier 3. I just want to know how the mechanic works. That is it. Anyway, we do get the Pillar of Bone out of this, and the Crimson Skull have been destroyed. I'd love to keep the Goblin Tinkerer bench here, but I don't think we'll have room in this particular location, so it is what it is. Let's also, I guess, upgrade to Horde. Anyway, with that, folks, we're out of time. I'm going to call the episode here. Next time, we will, I guess, start moving northward with Gorbad. He begins his journey to the Empire. Next episode, of course, we have other armies being recruited for that particular purpose, and by the time he arrives here at the Black Mountains, he will most likely be able to... Are you still not able to jump over this? No. Darn. Anyway, by the time he does that, then he'll be joined by a bunch of other forces as well, which should be pretty fun. Anyway, stay tuned for more. If you could leave those likes and comments below, all glory to the algorithm, and thanks for watching.